You spent it again. Dinner, drinks, the good shirt. $300 to be considered. The money's gone. You're worth exactly what you were yesterday. You call it dating. It's an audition you keep paying to attend. And an audition is a performance. Broke men perform. Rich men get approached. That receipt is a confession. After tonight, you can't read it as romance again. It isn't romance. It's a withdrawal slip. Signed by you, cashed by an industry that profits every time a man feels he's not enough. Here is the number nobody says out loud. The chase has a monthly cost, and you are paying it out of the same account that was supposed to build your freedom. Every dollar spent trying to be picked is a dollar that never compounds. Every evening spent performing is an evening that could have been building. Walk this decade the way you're walking it, and you close it out owning the memory of a lot of nice nights, and not one thing that pays you $1 while you sleep. The chase economy figured this out before you did. It doesn't want you married. It doesn't want you rich. It wants you swiping. One match rationed at a time, one coach's course, one round of drinks, one more shirt. Your loneliness is its recurring revenue. It bleeds you slowly, and it calls the bleeding a love life. Name the leak. One word. Here's how you find the exact number. For the next 30 days, tag every dollar that leaves your account with one of two words. Build or be seen. 2 columns, no third option, no it's complicated. The be seen column, totaled at the end of the month, is your leak, to the cent. Most men have never once seen that number written down, which is precisely why it never stops. Write it, and it starts shrinking before you've done anything else. Because a leak you can measure is a leak you can close. Let me show you a man. Call him Danny. 29. Makes $52,000 a year in a cubicle under fluorescent light that hums like a dying insect. He knows his salary to the dollar and his net worth not at all. Danny bleeds roughly $600 a month, and it splits into 3 streams he has never once separated. 250 is explicit chase spending. The dates, the drinks, the ride shares to places he can't afford. 150 is status spending. The barber, the wardrobe, the gym membership he uses more for photos than for weight. 200 is optional lifestyle leakage. The subscriptions, the deliveries, the small comforts he'd never miss if they vanished tomorrow. 600 a month. 7,200 a year. Over the 8 years of a man's sharpest, most dangerous decade, that is $57,000 poured into an audition with no callback. Here's why the split matters. 2 of those 3 streams can be cut this week without a single person noticing. Only the first is even loosely tied to a woman. The other 350 is just a man paying rent on a version of himself he hasn't built yet. Danny thinks he's dating. He's funding an empire, someone else's. Understand the mechanic, because the mechanic is the whole video. Wealth is what you keep pointed in one direction long enough to compound. What you earn is just fuel, and most men burn every drop of it lighting up a Friday. The man beside you at the office earns what you earn. The gap between you and him comes down to one word: aim. He points his surplus at an asset that pays him back forever. You point yours at a Friday night that's gone by Sunday. The salary itself is the first trap, and the chase is the second lock on the same cage. A job pays you exactly enough to keep you manageable. Enough to keep the wardrobe fresh and the tab open, never enough to walk. 40 years of it. They call the end of it retirement, which is a polite word for the years after your body has already spent its best on someone else's balance sheet. The rat race is a business model, and you are the product it keeps lonely and spending. I've watched men pour a decade into being chosen and call it a love life. It was an expense account with no return, and no one ever audited it but them at 2 a.m. alone. Here is the reframe that should stop you cold. Attraction is the shadow a position casts. You have been trying to purchase the shadow while starving the thing that throws it. No amount of shirt, no line a coach sells you, no rationed match will ever out-earn one built asset. The man with the asset never has to perform worth. He has it. And worth that has to be performed was never yours to begin with. Every man's money points somewhere. Yours has been pointing at being chosen, and a machine has been more than happy to do the aiming for you. Look closer at how the trap is built, because it was built on purpose. The salary arrives on a schedule designed to expire before the next one lands. Enough to survive, never enough to escape. That is not an accident of the economy. That is the economy working exactly as intended, keeping 40 years of your labor moving through your hands and out the other side before it can ever pool into something that frees you. The chase economy simply stands at the exit with its palm open. It knows a lonely, well-dressed, broke man will hand over the surplus voluntarily and thank it for the privilege. And the cruelest part is the timing. This machine takes its cut from you now. In your 20s, your 30s, the only decade when your money has enough runway left to compound into real freedom. It sells you the golden years fiction, so you'll trade your best building years for a retirement that arrives after your body has already spent itself. A man who waits until 50 to start pointing his money in one direction has already handed the compounding decades to someone else. The chaser counts the money he lost. He never counts the time, and time is the one asset the market can't reprint. Danny will tell you he's living. He is being lived by a salary that owns his days and a machine that owns his nights. You already know which one you've been. 7 traps. Each one is a place the chase economy has money or time leaking out of your life this month. Machiavelli's lesson underneath all 7 is the same. The man who spots the trap before he's standing in it is already halfway out. Name them. Close them. The leaks turn into your runway. Trap 1, paying to be considered. Every dollar you spend to be picked is a dollar that will never compound. So redirect it and be precise, because invest in yourself is a slogan, and slogans build nothing. Not into a stock. A stock is where money rests once you already have it. Into the cheapest thing that can charge a stranger money inside 30 days. A one-page site with a small ad test, a digital product at $27, a service you invoice this month and productize later. You're not buying an asset yet. You're buying proof that a stranger will pay. And that proof is the only map to where the real asset is hiding. Hetty Green understood this in a century that expected a rich woman to perform her wealth. She wore the same black dress until it frayed, ate cold oatmeal to dodge the price of a warm meal, and funneled every dollar into bonds and railroad debt, while the papers mocked her as the witch of Wall Street. She died the richest woman in America. And by then, New York City itself had borrowed from her to stay solvent. Run the filter on every dollar from here. Will this still exist next year, and will it pay me? A no is a leak, and you plug leaks. Make it concrete, because vague advice is just expensive noise. $300 buys a one-page site you build in an evening, $40 of ads pointed at one specific person with one specific problem, and an offer to solve it for $27. 8 strangers pay you $27, and you haven't made real money. You've found something worth far more, a sentence the market will fund. Now you build the asset around that proven sentence instead of guessing in the dark for a year. That single data point about what the world will pay for is the exact thing the chaser's 300 never buys him. No skill a stranger will pay for yet? Then that's your 90-day project, not your excuse. Pick one thing people already hire out: writing, editing, ads, automation, a narrow slice of code, and get paid once. A single invoice from a stranger reorganizes how you see every dollar you were about to burn on looking impressive. Frugality is fear, direction is power. But redirecting money is the easy part. The harder leak is the one that never shows up on a receipt. Trap 2. Handing over the only hours you own. You don't own your day. The job owns it. You own the edges. 3 usable hours on a weeknight, and the weekend, 25 hours a week if you're honest. And the chase takes the best of them. The Friday, the getting ready, the driving, the wrecked Saturday after. Machiavelli's cold rule applied to a calendar. Withhold from the crowd what it expects of you and pour it into the one thing that actually frees you. Here's how it runs in my own hands. This recording is made once and works for years, whether I sleep or not. Build the same way. Set the schedule like a shift, because a shift is the one thing a working man reliably shows up to. 8 to 11 5 weeknights, 5 hours Saturday, 5 Sunday. The first 90 minutes of every block go to the build before a feed or a message can touch them. Defend it like a second job. It is one, until it earns enough to bury the first. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get built. And point those hours at output, not preparation. The trap inside the trap is spending 25 hours a week learning and planning and calling it work. One shipped thing a week beats a year of courses. Guard the edges of your day like the only capital you have. They are. Trap 3. Spreading yourself thin enough to be replaced. Peter Thiel's cold line. Competition is for people who can't build something no one else has. Spread your energy across a dozen half things, and you become a commodity, interchangeable, priced by whoever's hiring or whoever's swiping. So pick the one thing with filters, not with feelings, because feelings pick the shiniest, and the shiniest is usually the most crowded. 1. A market already paying real money for it right now. 2. Paid competence reachable inside 90 days. 3. It scales without your body in the room. Code, content, a product, a system, never an hour you personally sell. Where all 3 overlap is your one thing. Anything that misses even one is a hobby, and hobbies pay like hobbies. Run a real one through it. I'll start a podcast. Is anyone paying directly for a new podcast? Almost never, so it fails filter 1 unless you already own an audience. I'll build spreadsheet templates that automate a task accountants hate. A market already pays for that today. You can reach competence in 90 days, and one template sells 1,000 times with your body nowhere near the room. 3 yeses. The podcast felt more exciting. The templates pay the mortgage. Excitement is a tax the crowd volunteers for. The number is what you're actually after. Name the one thing. Hold it. Trap 4. Performing your progress before there's anything to show. Amancio Ortega built the largest clothing company on earth and stayed a ghost the whole time. No interviews for decades, no photographs, no scene. He poured it all into the pipe. Factories he owned outright. A supply chain he controlled end to end. A design moved into 1,000 stores in weeks. By the time the world went looking for the man, he already owned the road every rival had to drive on. Your version is an audience, a list, a channel. a pipe you own that no platform can switch off on a whim. Build it quiet. The man who narrates every step burns his energy managing an audience he hasn't earned yet. The man who goes dark keeps all of it inside the machine and lets the results do the announcing. Silence here isn't modesty, it's accumulation. Concretely, pick one channel, one format, and post into it every day inside the build block. Not to perform, to stack reach you'll own. One short video or one written piece a day is 365 assets a year, every one of them working while you sleep, none of them needing you again once it's made. Most men quit at day 9 because nobody clapped. The pipe doesn't run on applause. It runs on volume, and volume is available to anyone patient enough to be ignored for a while. Every man watching this could have started that pipe 3 years ago. Most will wait 3 more. Trap 5, needing to be chosen. At a table, by a market, by anyone. Need is the number the other side prices you on. Andrew Mellon proved it in every panic. He sat on cash and calm while desperate men dumped everything at any price. So the desperate walked to him and took his terms. He owned the deal because he didn't need it. You cannot buy the shadow. You build what throws it. Build until the scarce thing in the room is you, until you can stand up from any table and walk out without a flinch. That is when no starts to carry weight, and not 1 second before. Walk-away power has a number. 6 months of expenses sitting in cash is the literal price of your first real no. Enough runway to refuse a client, a boss, or a bad deal and mean it. Build that cushion before you need it, and every negotiation afterward tilts your way without you saying a word. Trap 6, mistaking a stronger back for progress. There's an old story about a man ordered to build a pyramid. He vanishes into a barn for a year while the whole town mocks his empty plot, then wheels out a machine that lays in a week what raw muscle couldn't manage in years. Everyone who laughed had spent that year getting strong enough to lift the next stone by hand. He'd spent it making the lifting obsolete. That's the entire game. Work harder is advice for the man pinned under the stone. Harder only turns you into a stronger back on the same treadmill. Build the thing that lifts when you're not there. A product that sells while you sleep. A system that runs without your hands on it. Work made once that keeps earning for years. Before you pour a year into anything, 3 cold questions. Does it earn while you sleep? Does it survive a month you don't touch it? Can it serve 1 more customer at almost no added cost? 3 yeses is leverage. A single no and you've built yourself a job in a costume, and a job caps out at the hours in your day. Watch the test fail in real life. A man starts a business doing freelance design at $100 an hour, and it feels like ownership. Run the 3 questions on it. It earns nothing while he sleeps. It dies the month he stops. Every new client costs him the same hours as the last one. 0 out of 3. He didn't escape the job. He became a worse-paid boss of himself. Take that same skill and turn it into a template library that sells on repeat, and suddenly it passes all 3. Same man, same skill, and the machine underneath is the only thing that changed. Stop being the strongest man in the room. Build the crane. Trap 7. Spending the only years that compound. Economists tracking US stock returns across the last century put the average near 10% a year. Money left alone, pointed one direction, doubles roughly every 7 years while you sleep. Danny's 57,000, aimed there instead of at Friday nights, is $250,000 by 50 and still doubling. He never earned a harder dollar for it. He stopped feeding the machine that fed on him. run the chaser's math to the end, and you land on the Federal Reserve's numbers. The bottom half of American households owns almost nothing. A country full of men who earned fortunes across a lifetime and kept none of it, because it all leaked out the exit before it could pool. Compounding is the one force that rewards you for being ignored. It does its heaviest work in the dark, across the exact years the chase economy swears you're missing out on. Those are the doubling years. Put a real number on your own leak before you close this. $600 a month, invested at that 10% across the 8 years of your prime instead of spent on being seen, doesn't come to the $57,000 you put in. It lands closer to 90, because the earliest dollars compound the longest. The chase never bills you for what you spent. It bills you for what that money would have grown into, and that invoice comes due at 50, when you can't pay it back with time you no longer have. Picture a barefoot boy in a Pittsburgh cotton mill, 12 years old, an immigrant with nothing, earning $1.20 a week. That's Andrew Carnegie. He should have stayed invisible for life. The system had no seat for him. He didn't fight it, and he didn't chase status inside it. He took a telegraph job, memorized every business and every face in the city until he was indispensable. And then he did the one thing the topic is about. He put everything on one thing and watched it. His own rule: put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket. He poured every ounce of focus into steel while other men diversified themselves into nothing. The consequence: the boy the system priced at $1 a week became the richest man in the world. And he did it by refusing to spread himself across the crowd's distractions. The status gap was total. The mechanism was focus. Now turn the camera around. You've been telling yourself a clean story, that you're focused, that the money is coming, that the chase is just a season and the building starts soon. What have you actually built? Not planned, not intended, not almost started. Built, owned, running, paying you while you sleep. Say the number to yourself, the honest one. Here's the slow lane version of your life, and I want you to feel it. You give the machine 5 nights a week for the paycheck of 2, and then you take the paycheck and hand it straight to the chase economy for the applause of a weekend that's gone by Monday. 5 days sold for 2. 2 days sold for 0. You are running a business whose only product is your own depletion, and you've been calling it living. Let me show you a man you'll recognize, because he might be you. He's 34. He can tell you the exact price of the last 3 things he bought to look like he'd made it. The watch, the weekend, the car payment on the car that says success to strangers. He cannot tell you a single asset he owns that would pay him $1 if he stopped showing up tomorrow. He's been chased by nothing but bills and by the quiet 2 a.m. arithmetic of a man who suspects, but won't check, that he's exactly where he chose to be. He chose it. Every receipt was a vote. And here's the part that stings. So sit in it. Nobody did this to you. There is no villain who broke into your account and spent the surplus on Friday nights. You handed it over, dollar by dollar, evening by evening, and you did it because being chosen tonight felt better than being built in 5 years. Call it what it is: a math error. You traded a compounding asset for a depreciating feeling, and the chase economy has spent billions making sure you'd never run the numbers. Run them, and they lose you. So look at the ledger of the last 5 years without flinching. What did the chase actually return? Name it. Not the nights, the position. Where did any of it leave you standing that a built asset wouldn't have left you standing 10 times higher? The honest answer is nowhere. And the honest answer is the door out. So choose the other thing. There are two men leaving this video. One closes it, irons the shirt, spends the 300, and auditions again. And in 10 years, he's the same man with a higher card limit. The other one goes dark, points everything at one build, lets the crowd have its Fridays, and gets found, on his terms, by the version of everything the chaser was begging for. Invisible is not rejection. Invisible is runway. If you've watched yourself in this video, not the crowd, yourself, drop one line in the comments. I stopped auditioning. I read who writes it. It tells me which men were actually in the room. Most men will not do this. They'll feel it for an hour, then reopen the app, because the pull of being chosen is louder than the patience of being built. That's fine. Their reflex confirms exactly where they'll still be standing next year. Everything you just heard was the principle, proven on dead men and men you'll never meet. The next move is yours, and it's specific. The exact first asset to aim those redirected 300 at from where you stand tonight. The way to lock those 25 hours so they survive a bad week. The filter that names your one thing instead of leaving you circling a dozen. That's where the principle turns into your first paid dollar next quarter, and it has your name on it. None of that fits in a single video. It gets built here, one piece at a time, across the ones that come next. So subscribe. Stay close enough to the shadow to catch what gets made in it, or walk off and go back to buying the shadow other men throw. This is what the grey eminence has always been. Mechanics, not motivation. A way of seeing what the crowd spends its whole life failing to see. If you'd rather build the thing that throws the shadow than spend another decade buying it, you already know which man you are.